There's also like a real phase like in this mix that I think of as being like a real lavender color. It's like the part where there's just like a really melodic like humming, and it kind of turns into wailing, and I really enjoyed like it. I was telling them earlier that like I made a few different um, variations of this, and but one of the most consistent portions was that one section. It was like just a really breathy, like sighing and wailing um, and those humming. It's just like so comforting to me. It feels like a really mothering tone or frequency, and I don't know. And I love that color. It's just so like I think that color really is a very like that color is a sort of mother to me, like that sort of mauve taupe or lavender. I love that too. Yeah, it is like I think that that's something that I'm not. I would say I was just confrontational in general, but like I'm definitely not like avoidant. And so when I make mixes and when I mix around with music, like I want to add a realistic or an expected amount of tension or conflict. And I think that at some points, like there just had to be like in this mix, like if it was really, for Juneteenth and it is for healing, like there had to be moments that were really tense and kind of um, locked up so that there could be a release or a gradual kind of opening up. And um, like I'm a DJ, and it's like I think that like when I do even like clubby stuff, I require there to be a real catharsis and conflict present. And like that contrast just seems necessary, especially on like a space as charged as a dance floor. So if you ever like check out any of my other mixes, like you'll notice that that's definitely a theme that I'm always exploring and building into or leaning into. It's like all about contrast. Um, so like intimate spaces versus dance floors. Um, in my personal life, they're one and the same. So I think that the praxis behind me in mixing and like arranging music and working with musicians is about not like exactly like bridging those two things together, but really trying to accentuate the potential of making public spaces intimate, if that makes sense. And since I do really love like ambient music, or like I guess like how would I put that? I guess like the sort of well no because I really like all kinds of music. Anyway, but like it's like intimate music for me, or like an intimate making music for intimate spaces. There's like more space for breath in there, and like in that, whereas the club, I don't know, like the club is a little, it's different, or like it's like I've made it my mission to make it not different, not so different, but it's just different because there's an expectation, and yeah, there's a sense of I think in the club people are expecting more and more nowadays a really specific thing, and I think that historically clubs and club music and dance floors are places of chance and spontaneity and risk. And I feel really inclined to exploring those things when I do club sets.
Can we unpack that a bit more? Um, because when I think of dance music and how that relates to the evolution of Black spirituals, um, and we're like, we're reopening up post-COVID, quote unquote. Um, and especially speaking of the dance floor in New York City and the scene, um, those aren't necessarily Black spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And and so then like when you had mentioned the word expectation, it made me think about the audiences. And then
Exactly.
yeah, and it made me think about like how this intimate space is, it's centering us, it's centering Black femmes. Um, and so yeah, I'm interested in like unpacking that a little bit more. Um,
Well, yeah, like I mean, when you think about well, okay, there are a few different elements to like how we think about the public art spectacle of clubbing or of the rave and stuff. And I don't want to like, I'm gonna cut myself a little short on this because I have a lot of thoughts about um, reopening and the like kind of the post COVID, like the reopening measures that we're like in. There's like a capitalist like lens that you can look at it through. There's definitely like an ableist lens that you can look at it through. It's like there's just so much. There's so many levels to how we think about what reopening really means, especially when it comes down to like necessities like dancing and the club. And it's like I'm not saying that like those things aren't necessary. I think that they're actually quite essential. Having spaces to meet and to explore some of the things I was talking about, like the chance and the spontaneity and risk. But not but and and also like the clubs are historically like not safe spaces, even though like the more that we kind of allow, like we prescribe queer and safe spaces to all types of stuff. Like people will call a White Castle a safe space, like it doesn't change the fact that like we live in a supremely racist, transphobic, capitalist culture, and in the dark there's like always a lurking like or looming, I'll just say conflict. And so this is kind of spinning out into like a whole tangent, but what I'll say is that like when I like wanna when I'm inclined or invited to play in public, I'm really mindful of the audience, but not only just as a person who not only as like a person who like as a DJ, like you have to kind of be aware of like how people's mood is being impacted by the music that you're in, and you want people to stay and be in that space with you. But also, it's about like having an awareness of like what you're giving to the people. I'll give you like a prime example. This is so silly, but one time when I was in Berlin, uh, this was like a couple years ago. It was actually my first time at Berghain, and at some point they started playing like "This Is America," and it just was so comical to me because it was the whitest party I'd ever been to ever in my life, and not only were they playing This Is America, but we weren't in America. And it was like, there were just so many like levels to it. And I was just like, see, now, like, this is, you have to know who your audience is. Like, it's like, you can't just, like, it's like, there's certain shit I'm not gonna play, or there's certain moods or things I'm not gonna explore if my audience doesn't look a certain way, and certainly if it doesn't feel the way. What was the reaction? Oh, to the This Is America. Oh my God, yeah, people were, people were like getting their little life to it. I mean, maybe there was like a techno, like, like, like remix kind of element to it, so people could continue their two-step or whatever. But I was still just like, I had to take a seat. Like my reaction was definitely pause. Um, and I was definitely trying to see who the DJ was, and the DJ was certainly like just like some very average white Joe, some Joe Biden up there, and it's like I was just like, okay, well, this is awkward for me. And it was like a moment of being like, I'm not gonna do that. If I ever play, like, if like when I'm in Berlin, I'm not gonna just be playing like, quasi militant black pop takes at the at the all white function. I'm like, I don't think that this is the audience for that. Would call me crazy. That might be
Yeah.
the snob legending in me. Go ahead.
You know, a snob with intention means well, I think. A snob with intention gets all the pass.
There's so much to be said um, about things I've seen in nightlife, um, in ways that I've been left with like a, I don't know. I think that I've become like kind of like, I'm like a bit of a practice DJ. Like, I just am like super, like, it's all theory in my head. Some people are just trying to like you know get their zhuzh, and I'm like, I could probably stand to be a little less critical, but it's just not my nature. So that's why I really enjoy doing things like this, where it's like you give me a community or like a room to fill with an intention, and it's just about healing and rest. That's really nice for me.
Well, we're glad to offer that space, and I think that's what the dance floor, etc., sound and sonic experiences should be centering, um, should be going back to intentionality because sound and music, it is healing, it is
Yeah.
transcendent, it is spiritual. Um, this is like turning into like a low-key moderated talk, but there's a note from Caleb in the chat about being from the South. I can't help but think about the correlation of the Black church and the rave, like the transcendental nature of the music and the movement, religion aside.
It's
Um,
true.
yeah,
Gathering spaces for communion and like transformation at times, uh, and release. Very, very, like, that's definitely like a huge element of church gathering, especially like black churches. It's like there's just so much vibe, and there's so many spaces to lose yourself, especially within the music. Um, you know.
yeah, I think specifically in the music. Like, if anything, that was always the moment that I was waiting for is let's get to the music when people are
I
running
know,
around
like
the
this.
room.
Exactly. It's like, give me something to shout to.
Yes. I was like always too shy to start running around the room, but if I were to go back, that's probably the first thing I would do. I feel like I'm
Period.
I'm that I'm that bold now.
You have to like follow, like, scratch the itch.
Ooh.
It's real. It's like also just thinking about clubs, like it's like I've been fortunate enough to have had times, not even on like altered states, but like in on a dance floor that were just like transcendent.
Mhm.
And I think that, I won't say that that's rare. I say that it's always present, but it's rare that like it's authentic sometimes. Some people really want to force like the the rave, and like they really want to like push it like to its limit and like make it so large. But I'm like, not every oh, thank you. Not every not every rave and not every dance floor is a place for real transformation.
Mhm.
It can be there. It's like just like not every church gathering like the Holy Ghost is present.
Mm.
Maybe like in
Okay.
the form of like of as a force that moves through people and like makes their bodies like move and makes them like um express themselves and like when they step outside of the body, but or like something is working through the body, like that's not always actually there. It's about like setting that intention and like as a like signing that pact together, I think. So maybe some of the best like moments I've had with dancing in public or like music in public has felt like an agreement
Mm.
between everyone present.
That's true. I think it's like when even here, like when we decide to tap out and let go and release together, um, even if that's like happening like subconsciously. And that's why I think like, a DJ or a curator of sound, um, an artist of sound, it's like literally like orchestrating a symphony, um,
Mm-hmm.
of vibrations and energies and spirits. Um, and there is responsibility in that,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, especially thinking about the quote unquote scene, which I think needs to move away from being a scene and being more of a community. Um, like, who are we giving this responsibility to?
Exactly.
And where are they guiding our spirit?
Right. That's so true. And also like to second something that you mentioned earlier is like being like as a musician, as a DJ, as a curator, whatever. It's like you are playing with vibrations. Vibrations like have you know real impacts on our physical, mental, and emotional bodies, and that's something you have to be tapped into. I think to be successful at what you do. Um, Aside from like visibility and like exposure and all of those things that kind of like take away from it. I just think that like the best musicians and the best artists are tapped into what frequencies they're emitting in their art and what impact that's supposed to have on them, on the receiver, and also yourself.
Hmm.
Part of me definitely made this restful, like healing sound bath for me for this Juneteenth. It's like I needed it. Um, I was like super. As part of the result, especially like kind of just lying in bed with my friends and listening to it, and like the cat, and we were just all very like lulled. I almost missed. It's like I had to gather myself and like come over here like back into the light so I can so we can have a talk, because I was really like kind of like dozing out, and then I heard Mandy's voice, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is like the end. I need to I have to get ready to talk to the people about it."
Well, hopefully this talk is feeling natural.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely. No, I just like you just didn't want it like for me like literally slumped in the dark in the bed. Um, I am still slumped. Like normally I think I would be like sitting like more erect. I'm like, but I'm definitely just like lying here. Like and I'm like
this is where we're all at that point. Um,
mhm.
and if anything, I feel like on Juneteenth, I'm glad that we're having this experience together that feels more reflective. Um, because kind of going to like our pre-conversation before um, the sound bath started, that's just where I'm at right now. Um, Not necessarily saying that I want to like think and dissect this day being recognized as a holiday, but I do feel like I'm in a place of reflection.
I definitely something about this day for me right now is really giving say less. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, there's a lot. I think that history has demanded a lot of our bodies and minds and voices, especially Black femmes.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just like kind of don't. Like, I kind of want to, this is my day of rest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm not gonna go out and give. Like, I'm not gonna, write a speech for everyone about like the importance of Juneteenth for like my, mixed following. Um, I am not going to, put myself through unnecessary like work today. It's like giving say and do less
I feel that.
because you know what I mean? Because it's just like I don't know. It's like it's Juneteenth, especially like kind of like there's something so intense about formalizing the day as a national holiday. Like it's like giving it a like giving it like a certain power. Like it's like putting the power into the verb, which is something that's really as a writer like it means a lot to me. Like holidays and like events and it's like putting making something into something formal or giving it a form or giving it a container.
The
It evokes like a
container.
lot from you. Yeah,
The
right. And
container
it's like
is a good metaphor because I feel contained right now.
right. It's like I can't like I am bigger than this container. I think that our history is bigger than this container.
Our history
Uh,
and the work that needs to be done is bigger than
so
this
much bigger than the
container
container. It's like
or
literally like
or this bandage. It feels like a bandage.
see, because then like, but the reason why I'm not inclined to call it a bandage is because a bandage still has like a sense of, like there's a form of aid in there, and I don't think that this isn't really like it's like Juneteenth. We're celebrating emancipation while still being in a state of, or like in a space of lacking a real equity.
And oppression.
Yeah, being in a space of, to call a spade, a space of real violence and turmoil.
Yes, the
And
violence.
yeah, and we're just like, and hyper violence at that. It's like, I still, like, coming back to like the idea of opening back up, I think a lot of the resistance for me, like, I've been invited to like play a couple like events. And I find that they're like not really, I don't need to do that right now because I'm still thinking about what was the second largest civil rights movement just being a year ago.
Yeah.
And and where I was at last Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Last Juneteenth, I was like literally, you know, delivering supplies to houseless, like people without homes, like shelters, and on the street, passing out frozen water bottles in LA, and formalizing the Herbal Mutual Aid Network. I was like desperate to kind of create some change, to see that something was like moving forward and being a part of something I thought was huge.
Mm.
And it is, and it was huge, and it still is huge. But
It
it's
is
just to say that
major.
like it's a year later, and I'm still there,
Mm-hmm.
and that means like, and my priorities are a little bit different.
How
But I
so?
don't think that like. But what I will say is that, you know, a year later, in stepping into this formalized Juneteenth, I still am just still thinking about all the work that still needs to be done, and that like there was so much work last year that was done, and that there's still so much to be done. Herbal Mutual Aid Network just turned a year old.
Happy
You know what I
birthday.
mean? Like, yeah, right?
Happy solar return.
Yeah. We're gonna like we're gonna find a way of celebrating it. Um, not like as a like, you know, not like a party or whatever, but like finding a way of like kind of honoring the work that we've done. But I think that honoring the work that we've done is acknowledging how much still needs to be done.
Mm.
And this pageantry of a Juneteenth moment is like, it makes it so evident like how much work still has to be done.
So how do you
And
work through that? Asking for a friend,
right, I'm like
aka.
teetotalism, like just like like sobriety and meditation. Oh, I'm kidding. It's like literally not that. I'm like, for one, I don't know. I'm still trying to locate the joy always.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you know, even though I think that, you know, another pageantry moment that really irritates me that I'll say a lot less on, like with pride, is, but I also need to locate the pride to keep
Mm-hmm.
working.
Mm-hmm.
And both of those things mean honoring my ancestors, and yeah, and believing in them, believing that they're working through me, even if I like don't have a name or if I don't have like a face. It's just knowing that like it's inside me. It's propelling me towards something good. It's that it's not only knowing that the universe is conspiring for good, but knowing that like my ancestors have the best intentions for me and they're not gonna let me just fall.
It's internal and eternal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Very. And also in TBH, a lot of music. It's
A
like
lot of
that is,
music.
it's like my life raft is the music. I listen to music like all day, every day, and I like change my mood and spirit all the time with just sound.
Should we drop your SoundCloud in the
I'm like, listen, it was not a not trying to plug myself. I'm like, listen, I'm really, you know, I feel at times like a nobody. Someone did just ask though if they can contact me in the future for virtual gatherings. And yeah, totally. You know, if I have time and capacity, like I love to arrange music. I love to make you a mix for everyone to just sit. I love to tell a story for everyone to just sit and listen to together.
Yes.
Um, and talk about it after. I wish that we did more of that. Oh my god, like listening sessions and like a talk back is like kind of a red, like I don't know, it's so important but rare.
It is
It's like,
rare, but
yeah,
like hopefully we can normalize that. And
yeah,
I don't want to take up like, all the space. I know Zoom can be a little bit awkward and we get Zoom shy. I'm gonna start calling it that. But yeah, I definitely, this is a small, intimate space, and if anyone wants
yeah.
to turn off their camera and unmute, um,
Oh yeah,
share
please. If you have any
something.
questions or comments, I like. Go ahead. Oh well, actually, yeah. I'm not gonna-
No pressure.
And also, thanks again for all like the feedback and contributions, links, and comments. Been really, really, really good. I'm still feeling very lulled, which is nice. I don't feel like I had to throw on like my formal like stance and stature and like like I didn't have to like kind of put myself up like that. So I'm like still really comfortable. I'm excited to fly back down with my friends and like listen to some more music. It felt really good.
The container. You didn't feel the
Hmm.
container for a moment today.
Thought about containers a lot last year.
Hmm.
It actually was from this. There was this Laura Halo mix where there was like sometimes she I don't know what she's reading from half the time or if she's writing it herself, but like she's just like she's a DJ producer and based in Berlin, and I really love her music, but she had this mix where at the beginning of it like it was about seeking a container for the thing contained,
Mm.
which was
Ooh.
so funny to think about last year around this time
Mm-hmm.
because I was like shut inside for COVID. I had just moved to LA. Also, like, like maybe a few days before I heard this mix, like I was out like at a protest in Melrose and like the National Guard came and it was like it spiraled out of control and like and how like oh and oh my gosh and like then the fireworks. I don't know if everyone remembers like kind of just
Yes, the
this
tactic.
really intense like firework phenomena that was happening last year. So like it was just very like I felt so locked in,
Mm-hmm.
and so I felt like I was in a container, but then also like that maybe I was containing something, and the thing that I was containing was the tension. So like
Mm-hmm.
it was like a container for the thing contained was tension, and
Mm.
I don't know. It was just really a lot for me last year. So like, but I've been thinking about containers since that time because then I was like also thinking about like a container for. I think I even mentioned it in this mix, but like a container for the rage. Like where do we put the rage? Like some people had lied and well, some people had said that like that they were there for me or whoever was black to like hold the rage last summer,
Hmm.
and I'm like, where y'all at now?
Right.
Like the bitch is still kind of mad. I'm not gonna lie. This got some shit that I'm angry about. So like I had to find alternative containers for the rage because um, I couldn't trust some people to be that container, even if that's what they offered. Um,
So containers can be many things. They can be people. But that's an interesting point that you make is people can be fickle and unreliable. So, and then you need another container for that container that is unreliable.
Literally, like yeah, like the container can be people. It can be people. The container can be the moment. The
Mm-hmm.
container can be a space. But I think that these are all predicated on some form of like ability to be open.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't have a container if it can't open up. So it's like there's like a functionality to containers, like that it opens and it closes and it holds things.
I wonder like what's beyond the container? What does that feel like to be amorphous?
I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, no container.
No container. It's scary. It feels kind of scary just to think about no
It is.
container,
Oh my
right?
gosh. It's so scary to think about. Really. It is. It is so scary to think about, like, no container. I'll tell you what, it's like, living in a black trans body. If I thought about if I wasn't certain that, wait, who did say something about
I
this
peeped
feels like a
that.
Scorpio conversation? But, you know,
What's your zodiac sign?
I'm such a Scorpio. Yeah, so that was
Are
so,
you? Are you a Scorpio?
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god. Wait, okay, y'all.
I'm a double Scorpio.
Wait, Scorpio what? List it out.
Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising, Aquarius moon.
Ooh, we love an Aquarius moon. It just sounds nice.
Yeah, it's like so. It's a weird state. It's so funny. I love that you just clocked that. That is so hilarious. No, yeah,
Everybody,
no.
drop your Scorpio sign. I mean, drop
I
your
know. Like,
zodiac
what's your
sign.
zodiac? Let us know.
If you know
Um,
like rising and your moon, drop that too.
it's like all of my like planets are in Scorpio or Virgo. Pretty much like outside of that, like all the like outer planets are like all Scorpio and Virgo. Anyways. Um, yeah, Scorpio rising. Um,
Well, actually, my Venus is in Scorpio. I just found that out, and which means my Venus is in detriment.
So my horoscope, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I'm Sagittarius, sign 2, Virgo rising, Libra moon, and my Venus is in
What was the last one? What's your?
my Venus is in Capricorn.
Mm.
My Venus. Okay, cool. My Venus is also in Scorpio, as is my Mars, I think, or
What?
something. It's like, wait,
You're
I'm
in
trying to
like
remember. It's like there is a lot of Scorpio in my chart. It's kind of insane.
this? Yeah, you know what? I need to talk to you offline because I'm trying to figure out this Venus in Scorpio.
It's weird because it does make you like super like it's like calamity follows you, especially in love. Like you're just like constantly thinking about like the chaos. It makes it sometimes hard to like lean into the moment because you're just like, but this could all explode. Like I've like there was also a phase in my life where I was just thinking about like explosions and
What?
like watching like, which is funny because like this is also a weird other element of a container. It's like an explosive like
Mm.
pushes things out from inside of it, and so like it's like contain like so an explosive contains the destruction. So like when I think about also this to tie this back to what I was gonna say before we started talking about zodiacs is that like when I thought about living in this body and not having a container or like just putting no like container into the like putting the power into that verbiage, I think about how limitless I would be, but in this moment while also existing in this body in this specific form, I do feel really limited, and or I feel my limits. Maybe I don't feel very limited, but I acknowledge and observe the limitations of being black and trans. So there's like sorry, but yeah, it's like if I was not a container for this history and this present, there would be like there would be a lot more bliss. In fact, locating the bliss or the joy wouldn't be such a, I wouldn't say it's a chore, but it wouldn't be like something I have to activate every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like every day I have to locate the joy
Mm-hmm.
because shit is really hard to be black and femme and non-binary and like and also navigating like capitalism and being really critical. It's like I'm so like I'm very praxis minded. Like I'm like super. I'm always thinking about like all of it.
Yeah. You
Can't
seem
turn the
like
mind
very
off.
intentional and action oriented. Um, when you were speaking about like the container and like, you know, existing outside of it and feeling its limits, but knowing that you are limitless.
Hmm.
Um, I wanted to ask, what are moments or things that make you feel outside of those limitations?
Mm. When I'm not living in theory, I'm living in my fantasies. I feel very limitless in my fantasies.
Mm.
In fact, I dream and think a lot about power. Not in like a looming, colonizer way, like not in like a like exerting power unto other people way, but I think about like being powerful and what that looks like. And
Mm.
oftentimes that makes me want to dance. And so I spend a lot of time in my room like dancing to my music alone. And I can like expel the doubt and make room for the limitlessness inside of me. It's like a virtual reality game I play with myself.
I love that. I'm just like envisioning you dancing right now, in like the sun.
Oh my
And it,
gosh. I wish that honestly, I wish I gave myself the license to dance in public outside of like the club or like, or music venue spaces more. I think that that's something that I know I'll arrive at in in time.
maybe that's like the next iteration, evolution of your work is movement.
Very. I I used to take classes at a dance company called Garth Fagan Dance, and in Rochester, New York, and I it was really nerve wracking because I was like very dysmorphic at the time. I was like, not like that's really stuff. It's like the dysmorphia continues, but like back then especially, it was really intense. Like being like getting getting older, just being so young and getting older, and like having your body change, and like being around dancers and seeing the athlete bodies, and then also like athletic feminine bodies, and
Mm.
like very athletic masculine bodies, and like learning from elders, black elders, and then being around like other kids. It was just like there was something about it that was just really nerve wracking. But I regret not having been. I did it for years, but I regret not being more present at that time
Mm.
because there was the motto for Garfagan dance is discipline is freedom, which is
Ooh.
something I still think about constantly. I know that it sounds really severe, but the real severity for it is when you focus on the discipline part and not the freedom part.
So it's
And
like
that, oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say it's like an oxymoron.
Or maybe just like two very conflicting ideas that you have to you that dancing might force you to put into your mind. Not force you to. I think that's a little carceral. But like it's like discipline is freedom is like something that for me, I'm just saying that at that time I was thinking a lot about the discipline and not the freedom. And I think that when you can hold both of those things in your mind at the same time, there's something really liberating and empowering about that idea.
I just froze because like we're speaking metaphors again, and that just like triggered something for me. And like this moment that we're existing in, and like talking about the container and talking about freedom and liberation, and how like those two things can exist at the same time. But with them existing at the same time, um, you still being able to focus on the liberation is maybe what can free you.
It's true. Like, I still am fortunate and blessed to have found. I found a lot of freedom in the container. Still,
Mm-hmm.
it's something that you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to make that happen. It's like I cannot spend my life feeling contained because that is a spiral.
Right. You don't
Yeah.
deserve that.
Yeah, I have to locate the freedom and practice it as well.
Letting that sit. Well, I know we're getting a more intimate, cozy group. So if anyone's not feeling Zoom shy, I feel like I'm gonna be Zoom shy. And hopefully let someone else speak. Um, if not, we could wrap if we're feeling like rapping.
So if you felt like, you also write me separately if you wanted to. Mm. I'm on IG. I'm very responsive to my DMs and emails. Um, if you have any questions, or if you ever need this is something I offer to the intimate group. If you ever need a song to cry to or dance to, let me know. I'm very happy to. I like offer that to a lot of my friends. I'm very like, you need a song to cry to? I got you. Like, find a really nice, soothing something to carry you into that space safely.
We love these offerings.
Mhm.
You know, they're blessings. Well, unless you all want to like unmute and snap for Eves. I know I'm gonna snap for you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you
Thanks
can
so
hear
much.
them that well because like I'm on this mic situation.
I heard the snaps.
Okay, cute.
I felt the snaps. I'm like obsessed with my friend's cat. It's like he's so cool and like
Like,
lumpy looking. I'll
can we
sign off with
see?
this little grumpy guy.
Oh my gosh, it's a black, like brown cat. It's a
He's
really
so big.
big cat.
He's so big. You're a grown ass man. You're a little jaguar. His name is Charlemagne,
Hey,
but we call him
Charlemagne.
Chicken. Yeah, and he's a love bug. He wants to love.
Looks really cozy. And I'm like not even a cat person, but that's a cute cat.
I love cats. I'm obsessed with their vibe.
I'm such a dog person.
I
No?
don't know. I can see it. I like. It's like people are obsessed with a dog that's this size, and I'd be like,
I like big dogs.
see that? Yeah, if I had a dog, I'd have like a really big black dog.
I like big dogs. I love huskies. That's like my dream dog.
So pretty. Oh my gosh, right. I actually would
Hmm.
like a long hair black German Shepherd.
Oh,
It's like really
okay. It's
hot.
giving Black Wolf.
Very. It's like because then I would feel like, oh, not you with this tail. What are you doing?
Right, showing out.
What are you doing?
Pose for the camera.
I know, right? Like you give it a selfie day. Now he's just sitting there looking at me.
Signing off, Charlemagne.
Okay, Charlamagne. Well, thank you guys so much for having this. This was such a great conversation, and thanks for the invite and the opportunity. It's been amazing.
Yes. We're glad to have you here, and thank you for blessing us today because we needed that. I know I needed that.
Yeah. We'll have an abridged version of it on online soon too, and maybe I'll like at some point I might release it. Maybe I'll tweak it a little bit or make it longer, and
Mm,
I'll release
okay.
it. Yeah.
Or we could hear those other versions.
Oh my gosh. I was telling you, I was telling you earlier that there's one where I was cursing and ranting. It's like,
I want to hear that version, Loki.
I don't know. I might share it sometime. It was righteous fury, but it was just very like, it was still very ferocious of me. I was like,
Something's got out the container.
yeah.
Yo, this container about to be my word for like the week.
Oh my gosh, exactly. See, now that's how we find out something did get out of the container.
Hmm. Well, what you about to do when you get out of this Zoom container?
I I'm gonna lie down with my friend. I think that she must be asleep. But I'm gonna lie down with her for a second, and then actually I have to DJ the Lot Radio tonight with two of my
Wait,
close friends.
you're in LA or New York?
I'm in New York right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like I had to fly because my friend who um, I'm staying with was hosting a little party for her apprentice, and she asked me to come and host it. So I was like being a line wench and like serving food and stuff like that last night for a little intimate dinner party. And so then conveniently they asked if we wanted to do we have a show called Decodes, me and my friend Steven. And one of my closest friends from Berlin is also here. And we were invited to do a show, and like I was like, oh cool, I get to bring Nat in to do it as well, and it's gonna be good. So tune in if you want to.
Yeah, what time is
It'll
it?
probably be archived. What was it's 10 p.m. to midnight. Normally we do 10 a.m. to noon for our show. So it's funny that we get to do the other side of it. So I don't know what it'll give.
Okay, I'm dropping some links.
Yeah, tune in, y'all. It'll be fun.
Cute. I'm definitely gonna tune in. I'll put it on.
It's a spiral. So especially when you're watching the video, I'm probably gonna be like hooting and hollering. But
It'll be interesting to see a different side because this has been
yeah,
so chill.
yeah. No, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna like. I don't know what the mood is yet. I actually kind of have to prepare something. But I have
Yo,
half of mine to like keep the restful feeling, like and just be like, I just want to play ambient music. But I'm like, since I'm doing it with two friends, like their moods might be like more something. So
mm.
maybe they like we might like it might give a turn up mood. I'm not sure.
Well, I think that's impressive that you can like do it on the spot and just switch it up like that. Um,
I'm really I don't know. I can be a very unconventional DJ. So like don't be impressed just yet. You know.
you know, kind of speaking back to what was mentioned earlier, we need unconventional and um, something that's not quote unquote seen.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Outside of the container.
Very.
Well, on that note, I'm going to say goodnight, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Black Beyond Origins with Yves B Golden.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Have a good day. Have a good night.
Okay.
Yeah,
Night,
and I'll talk to you a little bit later.
yeah.
Bye.
Bye.